Hello viewers, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I have very interesting story for you. Don't forget like and subscribe. Now enjoy the story.
The first time they called me unfit, I was standing in my own kitchen, holding a cup of tea that had gone cold in my hand. It wasn't shouted, it wasn't even said with anger. That was the worst part. It was said gently, like a diagnosis. Abba, you can't live alone anymore. I looked at my son, Samir, and for a moment I didn't recognize him, not because his face had changed, but because his eyes had. They had lost something soft, something loyal. Behind him, his wife Nadia stood with her arms folded, watching, measuring, waiting. And just like that, my home, where I had lived for 42 years, felt like it no longer belonged to me. The house I built that house brick by brick. Not with my hands, but with my life. Every overtime shift, every missed holiday, every sacrifice your children never notice until they're older, if they notice at all. After my wife, Shabana, passed away 8 years ago, the house grew quieter, but it never felt empty. Her presence lingered in the curtains she picked, the garden she loved, the kitchen she ruled like a queen. That house wasn't just walls and a roof. It was memory. It was dignity. It was mine. The chain. Samir and Nadia moved in temporarily. That's what they said. Just until we get back on our feet. I didn't hesitate. I opened the door just like I always had. At first it felt good. Laughter returned. The house felt alive again. My grandchildren filled the rooms with noise and chaos. But slowly, things began to shift. My chair in the living room became their chair. My morning routine became an inconvenience. My opinions became outdated. And then one day, I heard Nadia say something that changed everything. He's forgetting things. I was. But it didn't matter. The plan. It started with small things. Abba, did you take your medicine? Abba, you left the gas on. Abba, you shouldn't go out alone. At first, I thought it was concern. Then I realized it was a strategy. They were building a case. One evening, Samir sat across from me with a seriousness that felt rehearsed. We've been thinking, he said carefully, it might be better if you move somewhere safer. Safer, I repeated. Yes, somewhere with care, supervision. A facility, Nadia added. A facility. They said it like it was kindness. But I heard the truth behind it. Removal. Replacement. Erasure. The breaking point. The argument came 2 nights later. I had gone out for a walk, something I had done every evening for years. When I returned, the door was locked. Locked. I knocked, then harder. Finally, Samir opened it. Where were you? He demanded. I went for a walk. You didn't tell anyone. I didn't think I needed permission in my own house. Nadia stepped forward. This is exactly what we mean, you're not thinking clearly. Something inside me snapped. I built this house, I said, my voice shaking. I raised you here, and now you're telling me I need permission to step outside. Samir's face hardened. We're trying to help you. No, I said quietly, you're trying to remove me. Silence fell. And then Nadia said it. He's not fit to live alone. The papers. A week later, they brought papers. Legal papers. Samir placed them on the table like it was nothing. It's just a formality, he said, power of attorney so we can manage things for you. For me, I asked. Yes, in case something happens. Something had already happened. Trust had died. I didn't sign. That's when their tone changed. The isolation. They stopped asking. They started deciding. My bank calls stopped coming to me. My mail was accidentally opened. My room began to feel like a guest room. And then came the final blow. "We've arranged a place for you," Samir said one morning. "A good one." I stared at him. "You're sending me away." "It's for your safety." "No," I said slowly, "it's for your convenience." Nadia didn't even deny it. The safe. That night I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, listening to the house breathe. Every creak, every whisper of memory. And then I made a decision. There was something they didn't know. Something I had never told anyone. Not even Samir. In the study, behind the old bookshelf, was a small steel safe. Shabana and I had put it there decades ago. "Just in case," she had said. I stood up, my legs heavier than they used to be, and walked toward it. For the first time in years, I opened it. What they didn't know. Inside were documents. Carefully preserved. Untouched. Unseen. The original property deed. But not just any deed. A clause. A condition. A protection. The house was not entirely mine. Not anymore. Years ago, after Shabana's illness, we had made a decision. We transferred the ownership into a trust. A legal trust. One that had very specific rules. No one could claim ownership unless they met one condition. They had to care for the original owner, me, willingly, respectfully, and without coercion. Failure to do so would result in immediate disqualification. And the property would be transferred. Elsewhere. The next morning, they were ready. My suitcase was packed. My future decided. "Let's go, Abba," Samir said, avoiding my eyes. I walked into the living room slowly. Then I placed the documents on the table. "I forgot something," I said calmly. Samir frowned. "What is this?" "Read it." He did. At first, his expression didn't change. Then his eyes widened. Then his hands began to shake. "What is this?" "The truth," I said. Nadia grabbed the papers. "This can't be real." "It is. You never told us. You never asked." The shift. The room changed. Just like that. Power shifted. "Abba," Samir's voice softened. "We didn't mean." "Don't," I said. "Please," he insisted. "We were just worried." "No," I replied. "You were planning." Nadia tried to recover. "Even if this is true, we're still your family. Family doesn't do what you did." Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. The final decision. I picked up the papers and held them in my hands. "You called me unfit," I said. "You tried to take my home. You decided my future without my consent." Samir looked like a child again. Regret had finally found him. But it was late. Too late. "I won't be going anywhere," I continued. "And neither will this house." They both looked up. Confused. "What do you mean?" Nadia asked. I took a deep breath. It's already been decided. The truth revealed. A month ago, before they brought the papers, before they locked me out, before they called me unfit, I had noticed the change. I had felt it. And I had acted. I contacted the trustee. I updated the terms. If the condition was broken, the house would not go to Samir. It would go to a charity. A home for elderly people abandoned by their families. The end of control. "You gave it away," Samir whispered. "No," I said, "you gave it away." Nadia stepped back like she'd been struck. "This is insane." "No," I replied, "this is justice." Samia's voice cracked. Where will we go? For a moment, just a moment, I felt something. Pity. But then I remembered the locked door. The papers. The word unfit. And it disappeared. That, I said quietly, is no longer my responsibility. The quiet victory. They left 2 weeks later. No shouting. No drama. Just silence. The same silence they had tried to force on me. But this time, it belonged to me. The safe remains open. I still live in the same house. The same chair. The same routine. But something has changed. Not the walls. Not the memories. Me. I am not weaker. I am not unfit. And I am certainly not alone. Because dignity, once reclaimed, never leaves again. And the safe. I never closed it. Some truths are meant to stay open.